If you are in Math 7, we are working from the Advanced 2 textbook. If you are in Math 8, we are working from the Course 3 textbook. We are doing test review 4.1 to 4.3, and it can be found on pages 191 to 192. Okay, 4.1, graphing linear equations. Okay, the book will give us a linear equation, y equals 3x minus 1. And then they ask us to graph it. So the first thing we need to do is create our table. X, the equation, my output will be y, and then x and y together will give me an ordered pair. So when we do this, I get to determine the inputs. I'm the one that gets to determine the inputs, or my x's. And I need a negative, a 0, and a positive. So I'm going to pick numbers that are easy to work with. So my first x I'm going to choose is negative 1. So now I'm going to rewrite the equation, and I'm going to substitute negative 1 for x. Then I'm going to solve. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Oops. Then negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. So if we input negative 1, the equation spits out negative 4. So here's my first ordered pair, negative 1, negative 4. So now I know I need a 0. Here's my negative, but now I need a 0. So I'm going to input 0. I'm going to rewrite the equation, substituting 0 for x. And then I'm going to solve. Anything times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So if I input 0, the equation spits out negative 1. So here's my next ordered pair, 0, negative 1. So I have my negative, here's my 0. Now I need a positive. And I want to use a number that's easy to work with. So I'm going to go with positive 1. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, substituting positive 1 for x. Then I'm going to solve. 3 times 1 is 3. Then 3 minus 1 is 2. So when I input positive 1, this equation spits out a positive 2. So here's my third ordered pair, 1, 2. So now I have to graph this. So I'm going to create my graph. I have negative 1, negative 4. Negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 1, negative 4. Do you need to label your points? It's probably a good idea. My second ordered pair is 0, negative 1. And my third ordered pair is 1, 2. So I've plotted my 3 ordered pairs. And now I will use a straight edge to connect my points. Boom, done. So when they ask me to graph a linear equation, I need to create my table, x, with the equation y, and it will give me an ordered pair, x, y. I need a negative, a 0, and a positive. And I'm going to pick numbers that are easy to work with. Then I'm going to substitute that number for x and solve the equation. It will spit out my y. And then there's my ordered pair. Once I have my 3 ordered pairs, I can plot those points and connect them. I have now graphed this linear equation. Okay, next. 4.2, slope of a line. Slope is coming back to haunt us. And there's 2 different ways to find the slope. The first way is if they give us a graph. If they give us a graph, the points will be labeled. So they've given us this graph, and my points are labeled, and they want me to find the slope of this line. Well, to find the slope of a line, when I'm given a graph, the first thing I need to do is find 2 clean points. 2 clean points where the point is directly on the crosshair. So we're dealing with whole numbers only. We're not dealing with fractions and we're not dealing with decimals. So these are the 2 clean, and it doesn't matter which 2 clean points you use. You just need 2 clean points where you're not dealing with fractions and decimals. It makes life easier. So I have my 2 clean points, and I know that slope is rise over run. Rise over run. So I'm going to look, and these 2 points come together right here. So rise over run. So the first thing I want to do is the rise. In this case, I'm going up, which is positive. If I were to go down, it would be negative. But since I'm going up, it's positive. And I'm going up 1, 2. So my rise is positive 2. Now I get to run. So my run is 1, 2 to the right, which is positive 2. So my rise going up 2 is positive 2. And my run, I'm running to the right, 1, 2, positive 2. So rise over run is positive 2 over 2 equals 1. So my slope is 1. And what that means is I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Now, sometimes they won't give me a graph. Sometimes they'll give me a graph and the points will be labeled. Sometimes they'll give me a table that shows X and Y, and they'll ask me to find the slope of the line that that table creates. Or sometimes they'll say, what is the slope of a line that passes through these 2 points? So we won't always necessarily be able to graph it. Sometimes they give it to us as a word problem. What is the slope of a line that passes through these 2 points? Sometimes they'll give us a table and we need to pick 2 points off the table. Or sometimes they may give us a graph and we can pick 2 points from the graph. So the other way to find slope we know is the change of y over the change in x, which is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we need to pick 2 points. I can pick 2 points from my graph. I can pick 2 points from the table if they give me a table. Or if it's a word problem, what's the slope of a line that passes through these 2 points? I have to use those 2 points. So here, I'm going to use the 2 points that I've already highlighted. So I have 0, -1, and 2, 1. The first thing I need to do is label them. x1, x2, y1, y2. So now I'm going to substitute. I'm going to substitute these numbers into that equation. So y2 minus y1, which is -1, over x2 minus x1, which is 0. And then I'm going to solve. I have a negative and a negative, which is positive. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 minus 0 is 2. And 2 over 2 equals 1. So my slope is 1. So you can find the slope by graphing it and finding the rise over the run. And remember, when it goes up, it's positive. When it goes down, it's negative. And then my run. Or if I'm given 2 points, I can use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Either one will give you the slope. Okay, we have one more to review. .3, proportional relationships. A proportional relationship passes through the origin. A proportional relationship passes through the origin. So we're still dealing with linear equations, which we know can be written in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. B is our y-intercept. And in this case, b, the y-intercept, is 0. In proportional relationships, our y-intercept is 0 because it's passing through the origin 0, 0. So it crosses our y-axis at 0. So when x is 0, y is 0. So our y-intercept is 0. When it crosses our y-axis, it's 0. So b is 0. So proportional relationships can be written as y equals mx. That's because our plus b is 0. And we don't typically write 0 in our equations. So a proportional relationship can be represented with y equals mx. And that's because the plus b is 0. So the book is giving us this equation, y equals 7x. And they want us to graph this proportional relationship. Okay, let's create our table. X, our equation, oops, y equals 7x, that was right. Sorry, y, and then our ordered pairs. So just like before, I need a negative, a 0, and a positive. So I'm going to start with negative 1. I'm going to rewrite my equation, and I'm going to substitute negative 1 for x. Then I'm going to solve. So when I input negative 1, this equation spits out negative 7. Here's my first ordered pair, negative 1, negative 7. Now I need my 0. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, and I'm going to substitute 0 for x. And then I'm going to solve. So when I input 0, this equation spits out a 0. So here's my second ordered pair, 0, 0. And I need a positive. And I want to choose a number that's easy to work with. So I'm going to go with positive 1. I'm going to rewrite my equation, and I'm going to substitute positive 1 for x. Then I'm going to solve. So when I input a positive 1, this equation spits out a positive 7. So here is my third ordered pair, 1, 7. Now I need to graph this. So I have negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 1, negative 7. 0, 0. And positive 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I need to use a straight edge to connect my points. So we have now graphed this proportional line. How do I know that this is proportional? There's lots of ways. Number one, it passes through my origin. When I created my table to find my ordered pairs, I had the origin 0, 0. And in the equation, I can't see plus 0. We don't typically write plus 0, but there is an invisible plus 0 there. So that is a proportional relationship. A proportional relationship is a line that passes through the origin, through 0, 0. And that's proven right here when I showed my work. It passes through point 0, 0. And in the equation, it's invisible because we don't typically write it. But my plus b, my y-intercept is 0. So that plus 0, it's there. It's just invisible. So these are the 3 things that we're reviewing today for our unit test on Friday.